In the shadowy depths of 1930s France, a philosopher sought to challenge the very foundations of human reason, morality, and societal order. George Bataille, a thinker drawn to the taboo, the mystical, and the transcendent, conceived something truly enigmatic. Acephale, a headless symbol of revolt in a secret society devoted to the sacred, the profane, and everything in between. At the heart of his philosophy was a radical rejection of the intellect. Bataille didn't just want to question authority, he wanted to transcend it, embracing the dark forces that lie beneath the surface of civilized society. In the headless emblem of Acephale, he saw the destruction of the self, a symbol of freedom that came only through annihilation. Acephale was born from the mind of a man who would dare to ask, what lies beyond reason? What truths are hidden in the chaos of life, waiting to be uncovered? The birth of Acephale, a headless revolution. Acephale began as a journal in 1936, its cover bearing a haunting image, a headless figure clutching a burning heart and a dagger. This was not just a metaphor, but a manifesto. Bataille declared that reason, humanity's so-called crowning achievement, was a tyrant to be overthrown. His words called for a new way of being, one that embraced chaos, sacred rituals, and the ecstasy of the forbidden. To Bataille, the mind had become a prison. The intellect, with its cold logic, was the ultimate authority, stifling the raw, primal aspects of existence. Through Acephale, he sought to liberate the spirit, to transcend the rational, and embrace a truth far more visceral and untamed. The figure on the cover of the journal, decapitated and holding a dagger, was not just a symbol, it was a challenge, a call to arms against the tyranny of reason. Bataille's vision wasn't just philosophical, it was revolutionary. Acephale's pages were filled with radical ideas, rejecting societal norms and celebrating the forbidden, the transgressive, and the ecstatic. It was a manifesto for those willing to look beyond the veil of civilization and face the chaos of life in its purest, most untamed form. The secret society, rituals, and rebellion. But Acephale was more than a journal. It was a secret society, shrouded in mystery and bound by solemn rituals. Members meditated on Nietzsche, Freud, and Sade, rejecting conventional morality and societal hierarchies. They refused to shake hands with anti-Semites and celebrated the revolutionary act of Louis XVI's decapitation, symbolizing their chiefless ideals. At the core of Acephale was a rejection of authority, political, moral, and intellectual. For Bataille and his followers, the idea of a chief was anathema. They sought to create a space where individual freedom and rebellion could flourish, unbound by the constraints of society. They were not anarchists in the traditional sense, rather they were seekers of something deeper, an experience of pure, unmediated existence. The rituals of Acephale were designed to break down the barriers between the mundane and the sacred. They gathered in secrecy, often in the dead of night, to perform symbolic acts of rebellion and to meditate on the radical ideas of Nietzsche's will to power, Freud's exploration of the unconscious, and Sade's transgressive philosophy. They believed that only through embracing the darkest aspects of humanity could one transcend the limits imposed by society. Acephale was not just a philosophical movement, it was a way of life, a call to arms against the oppressive structures of power, a challenge to the conformity of the modern world. In the shadows of the oak tree, amid the crackling of fire, Bataille's society came alive one act of rebellion at a time. Sacrifice and the accursed share. Central to Acephale's philosophy was Bataille's radical idea of sacrifice. He saw it not as mere destruction, but as an overflow of life success, a general economy, where abundance demanded wasteful consumption. For Bataille, life itself was extravagant, wild, and uncontainable, and sacrifice was a profound act of liberation. To understand Bataille's view, we must first grasp his concept of the accursed share. It was the idea that human existence is marked by an overflow of energy, creativity, and potential that cannot be contained by ordinary means. In a world bound by productivity and reason, Bataille believed that this excess must be released through destruction, through the act of sacrifice. Sacrifice for Bataille was not about loss or deprivation, it was about liberation and release. It was an act that allowed the individual to transcend the limitations of society and reason. To sacrifice was to acknowledge the wild, untamable force within and to let it run free. It was about embracing life in its most chaotic, excessive form. For Bataille, the accursed share was not something to be feared or avoided, it was a call to embrace the untapped potential within us all. The wastefulness of sacrifice, the destruction of abundance, was not a moral failing, it was a necessary condition for true freedom, a way of escaping the tight grip of rationality and embracing the untamed, ecstatic side of existence. The legend of the failed sacrifice. Acephale's most infamous tale is the legend of a planned human sacrifice. Each member offered to be the victim, but no one could bear to wield the blade. The act, meant to inaugurate their mission, remained unrealized, a chilling echo of their philosophy, suspended in hesitation. Roger Caillois, in his 1975 article, The College de Sociologie, Paradox of an Active Sociology, Substance 11-12, recounted Bataille's fervor. He had secured a legal document to clear the executioner of blame, ensuring the ritual's possibility. But the paradox was glaring. Could something so sacred be born of premeditated artifice? Even among true believers, doubt prevailed. Years later, during the war, a New York newspaper published a scandalous article about the society's failed ritual. The sensationalism reduced Bataille's dream of a devastating saker, a rite to ignite society's rebirth, into a ghost story, haunting Acephale's rebellious legacy. Nietzsche, reclaimed from fascism, a recurring theme in Acephale was the works of Friedrich Nietzsche, whose philosophy had been hijacked by the Nazis to justify their brutal ideology. Bataille and his collaborators sought to strip Nietzsche's ideas from this corruption, refocusing on his disdain for anti-Semitism and his radical belief in life's raw, untamed potential. They didn't just read Nietzsche, they reclaimed him. Acephale's pages celebrated his call to embrace chaos, individuality, and transcendence. In this way, they offered a sharp, ideological counterpoint to fascism's rigid, dehumanizing narrative, positioning Nietzsche as an ally in the fight for a liberated, untethered existence. The Encyclopedia da Costa. Subversive knowledge in their final act of rebellion, the members of Acephale created the Encyclopedia da Costa. Far from being a conventional reference work, it was a scathing parody of established knowledge systems. Every entry subverted societal norms, exposing their arbitrariness and absurdity. One of the most notorious entries was the License to Live, a sarcastic commentary on the bureaucratic systems that dictate human existence. This mock license mocked the way institutions claim the right to govern basic aspects of life. Through such entries, the encyclopedia dismantled traditional hierarchies of knowledge, showing that what is often presented as truth is nothing more than constructed power. The Encyclopedia da Costa became Acephale's final declaration, a fitting conclusion to a movement defined by its rejection of conformity and its celebration of the absurd. Legacy, a philosophy of excess. Acephale as an organized society may have dissolved under the looming shadow of World War II, but its ideas have outlived its members. Bataille's general economy proposed that life thrives not through accumulation, but through giving, waste, and destruction, concepts that challenge the modern obsession with growth and efficiency. Bataille's ideas inspired countless intellectuals, from philosophers to artists, as they sought to understand how excess, sacrifice, and the sacred shape human existence. Acephale wasn't just a secret society, it was a philosophical revolt against mediocrity, a call to embrace extremes and uncover life's deeper truths. Closing, the eternal mystery of Acephale. The story of Acephale is one of myth and mystery. The society's rituals and intentions remain obscure, its members shadowed by secrecy. Even the group's headless emblem leaves us pondering its ultimate meaning. Perhaps that's the point. Acephale challenges us to confront what lies beyond reason, to question what cannot be easily answered, and to embrace the uncertainty of life. Its legacy is a reminder that true freedom exists in breaking the chains of rationality and venturing into the unknown. Through its myths, its sacrifices, real or imagined, and its radical ideas, Acephale invites us to live unbound and unafraid. The paradox of the sacred and human sacrifice, the plan revealed. In a moment of raw intensity, Georges Bataille shared his most radical vision with Roger Caillois, the idea of a voluntary human sacrifice. For Bataille, this wasn't just an act of violence, it was meant to rekindle a virulent and devastating sacredness, a saker that would ignite society in uncontrollable ways. Bataille disclosed these plans during private discussions with Alexander Kievnikov, later Alexander Kieve, who reacted with skepticism. Pieve argued that such a deliberate attempt to trigger the sacred was doomed to fail would be no different than a magician believing in his own trick. But Bataille was undeterred. He revealed to Kowa that he had already found a willing victim and had even gone so far as to secure or attempt to secure a certificate absolving the executioner of their crime. This preparation, however, troubled Kowa. To him, the act's calculated nature undermined its ability to unleash the primal, uncontrollable force Bataille envisioned. The group ultimately hesitated. No member could take on the role of executioner. Without this final act, the ritual remained incomplete, leaving Acephale haunted by what might have been a society teetering between the imagined and the impossible.